Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ
Assam.
हाँ, एम आई ऑडिबल?
Yes, sir.
वालेकुम।
You're audible, sir. Sir, will you start in a while?
हाँ ठीक है।
Just a second, sir. I'm just streaming it. Shall we start, sir?
हाँ मुतार साहब प्लीज गो।
प्लीज डू, यस।
Thank you. Esteemed Chief Guest in absentia, Shri Alok Kumar, Principal Secretary to Government Higher Education Department, Special Secretary to Government Higher Education Department, Shri Dr. Ravi Shankar Sharma, Nodal Principal, Kashmir Division Colleges, Professor Sheikh Aizad Bashir, our esteemed speaker for today, Shri Mohammad Salim Khan, a scientist, G and State Informatics Officer, NIC, um, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, our Program Director and Bharti Principal, Professor Dr. Muhammad Farooq Rathod sir, principals of various government degree colleges, faculty members, and their participants. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I, Dr. Said Mutahar Akib, Coordinator IQAC, GDC Baramulla, welcome you all to this webinar on empowering J&K through digital innovation, a journey of transformation with ICT. Today's webinar is part of the webinar series that is being organized by this college called the Convergence 360 under the aegis of Viksit Bharat. The theme of this webinar series is to explore the recent advances in science, humanities, and technology. And I, on behalf of the principal of the college, Professor Mohammad Farooq Rathod, organizing committee, and the whole fraternity of GDC Baramulla, welcome you to this session. This webinar series has been conceived with the vision of fostering interdisciplinary dialogue and collaboration. In an age where the boundaries between the scientific, humanistic, and technological disciplines are becoming increasingly narrow, this webinar series aims to provide a platform for the exchange of innovative ideas and research findings. Our objective is to inspire intellectual curiosity and facilitate knowledge sharing among our participants. So, through a series of these insightful sessions, led by various experts, we aim to contribute to a deeper understanding within these fields. So, to begin with the proceedings of the program, I request our worthy principal, Professor Dr. Mohammad Farooq Rathod, to formally welcome our speaker and our participants and initiate this webinar. Principal sir, over to you.
Thank you, Mutahir Saab. Principal Secretary, Higher Education, Mr. Alok Kumar, Special Secretary, Dr. Sharma, Director Colleges, Dr. Yasmin Ashai, Nodal Principal, Ajaz Bashir Saab, Dr. Ajaz Basir, my principals of various colleges within the state and outside the JK, dear colleagues, and man of the event today, Mr. Mohammad Salim Khan, who is State Information Officer. I welcome you, sir. I hope in the present era, without ICT, without digital innovation, it is practically impossible to survive. So, but the problem is whenever our students have got new kind of device in their hands or new kind of technology introduced in schools or colleges, there is always reluctance, and in that reluctance, either they basically go in the wrong direction or they are being misguided. I hope today, whatever the deliberation from your side, it is going to help the students, teachers, and in the long run, it is going to give us the transparency in handling the government, in having the transfer of information and the relevant information, up to the mark information to our students. I hope things are going to be in the right direction. I welcome you and hope we are going to get benefit out of it. Dr. Mutahir, please take it.
Thank you, sir. Our esteemed speaker for today, sir needs no introduction. He's an engineer. He has done his engineering from NIT Srinagar. Mohammad Salim Khan, Scientist G, State Informatics Officer at the National Informatics Center, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. I remember when I was working in NIC and when I joined NIC in 2011 at Jammu State Unit as District Informatics Officer. Sir was the first mentor for me and my friend Majid Kant, who is still working in NIC as Scientist C. And Sir would guide us in our various projects and daily issues that we used to confront. Sir has a career spanning of over 30 years. Shri Salim Khan has been a driving force in implementing various impactful ICT projects, and I must say that he has held a number of positions. He himself joined as a district informatics officer, and then he rose to become the head of the various groups and overseeing the implementation of numerous impactful ICT projects. His significant contribution extends in all the sectors of e-governance, including finance, electoral rolls, beams, revenue, the land record computerization, infrastructure, general administration, this e-office, EPM, and all the other e-governance initiatives of the government. Uh, Notably, he has also played a vital role in elevating, I should say, the government of Jammu and Kashmir's presence in almost 1,100 services which have been made online, surpassing all other states in India. So now with these words, I request our esteemed speaker, Mohammed Salim Khan sir, to kindly deliver his presentation. Over to you, sir, and welcome, sir.
Thank you, and I must say those were very kind words, and thanks to Principal Sahab also. And Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all of you. And it has been a cold wave. We are going through a cold wave, and I know it's very difficult these days to get up and really get geared up for listening to an old man like me. So thank you for joining it in large numbers. I can already see more than 50 participants are there. And since Dr. Aqib has made me a co-host, so I'm admitting them one by one in quick succession. So with this, it's the topic for today. As you know, we are talking about the digital transformation of J&K, in which ICT has been playing a major role. So there is a word innovation in the title. So let me be very honest at the beginning itself, that we have not done much of an innovation as it is, but at the same time, we have leveraged the power of ICT and related technologies in a major way, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. And why in the last 2 or 3 years? That is a whole background to it. Why it has accelerated now and not earlier. So with this disclaimer that innovation हमने उतना नहीं किया है, but we have really been able to implement the already available technologies to develop solutions, roll out things for people and for the government, in the government sector, G2G as we call it, the citizen-centric services, e-services, as Dr. Aqib in his opening remarks pointed out, that we now stand at more than 1,100 services, which is more than any other state or UT. And I will slightly elaborate upon that theme also. And let me make a controversial statement. Okay. In my opinion, as per my understanding, there are 3 factors which have been responsible for giving an impetus, giving a big push to this thing where we stand now. And 2 of them, I know many of the participants may or may not agree with me, and we will not get into a debate over that. One is COVID pandemic, which, you know, it was a killer thing. It killed so many lakhs of people across the world. It infected, I think, in millions. And in our country also, it killed so many people. So that has been an enabling factor as far as the rollout of ICT, the growth of ICT is concerned. And those of you who have been associated with ICT, either in an academic capacity or as solution developers or as engineers or in whatever way, maybe from the IT industry, from the academia, the computer science students, they know what I am talking about. So, you know, one of the things that goes to it is that in support of my this statement is that during the COVID pandemic, we started using webinars like this for interaction in a big way. There was almost an exponential growth in this. So everybody who earlier, you know, NIC has been is responsible for arranging and conducting the video conference for senior officers, the government functionaries, right from the President and the Prime Minister of India down to the Tehsildar in a Tehsil. But again, this thing became the norm. The online classes in schools and colleges and universities, the various meetings. And since then, all the meetings, let me tell you, in the civil secretariat, in the deputy commissioners' offices, at the level of HODs or the departmental secretaries, all the meetings have now become hybrid meetings. So it is online plus offline. For every meeting circular which is issued, always a meeting link is generated. So those who want to participate from anywhere, from the comfort of their offices, or maybe they are out of station, they can join at a mouse click. And the second one is the revocation, or should I say the abrogation of Article 370. Again, I will not go into the political aspects of it. It's very controversial. Various people have various, but in some ways, an enabling environment was created because proactive steps were taken in the aftermath of Article 370, which I will again elaborate, and I will illustrate why I'm saying that. And third, of course, was the push from the top. Our ex-chief secretary, Dr. Arun Kumar Mehta, he was big IT enthusiast. He understood the power of technology. And, you know, should I say, he literally made our life difficult. Difficult not in a negative way, but he kept us on the toes. And he used to say कि काम तभी होता है कि जब मुश्किल हालात हो, time कम हो, काम ज़्यादा हो. And, you know, he used to quote various examples of the tea leaves in hot water and all that, you know. Before I begin to talk about what we have achieved, especially in the recent years, in the last 2 or 3 years, should I say, let me talk about some of the impediments which inhibited the growth of this culture, ICT culture in Jammu and Kashmir. You know, we were laggards. Now we are one of the leaders. How we have achieved that is an interesting story in itself. So what were some of the impediments? I have noted it down. So I just gave it a thought this morning. One of the things was that there was a lot of gap, a digital divide, as we call it, between the digital haves and the digital have-nots. And as our chief secretary, and even our current chief secretary, Shri Atal Dulu, he is also an IT enthusiast. And these things will continue. I know only yesterday evening he sent a kind of a reminder to the IT secretary, which was also passed on to NIC with 49 points as far as IT action taken report is concerned. So I will not be talking about that. So digital divide between the people of J&K. We have a population of around 1.4 crore, I believe, 1.35, 1.4 crore. So some of the people, the number of people who are really directly or indirectly connected with this business, with ICT as a business person, I mean industry, you know, the industry, IT industry in J&K is in a fledgling state, still not up to that. Whenever we float a tender in the government, I know because I have a ringside view of it. We have to float a tender on GEM or maybe any other JK tenders or something, and we invite an agency. Generally, we see that big parties from Noida or Bengaluru or Mumbai, Delhi, they come because the capacity to execute projects of really big magnitude is somewhere lacking. So I think this is an area where our industry really needs to come up to that level where we can compete with national players. Only about 15 months ago, sometime in November last week, 2022, J&K conducted 25th edition of the National Conference on E-Governance, which was organized by for which Department of Administrative Reforms, Pensions and Grievances is the organizing body, and it was held in SMVDU Katra. And you know, when the tender was floated, again, a party from outside came. I want to see a day when we have players in J&K who can confidently conduct such events. So digital divide among the general population, digital divide between the entrepreneurs and the startups and the industrialists of J&K in this trade, vis-a-vis compared to the rest of the India, especially the big metro cities and other pockets. The digital infrastructure has always been a challenge. Dr. Akib knows from his experience also, because he has worked as district informatics officer in district Shopian, which is not really at the same level as Srinagar or Jammu. In Srinagar and Jammu, we still have a better situation.
Sir,
So
Riyasi also, sir. Riyasi was my first posting.
Riyasi is also remote. And I could see among the participants, Dr. Faisal Maghbool is there, I think.
Yes, Faisal Maqbool is there, sir.
He was
Tanveer
with
is also there, sir.
Tanveer is there.
Tanveer Lone.
They were
He
your
had joined in Kulgam at that time.
It's really nice, and I have fond memories of you. So digital infrastructure, not just digital infrastructure, but also power situation. There has been a power crisis. Even now, if I say it is improved, again, it will be a controversial thing. I mean, you have all those differing opinions behind the installation of smart meters and everything. But power situation improvement, even if it is marginal, and the digital infrastructure creation and spread has really helped a lot. Earlier, it was not like that. I mean, this was one of the factors which was really inhibiting the growth of ICT and the penetration of the ICT culture among the masses. Capacity development was another thing. You know, government employees and officers were not really ready to embrace the changes brought about by the, ICT culture. Some of them, even at the age of 45 or maybe 50, would used to say, "Ke budde tote ko ab kya padhaoge? I'm not really up to learn, not really keen to learn all these things." Some of them used to be under the impression that it's only going to increase their workload without adding value, or maybe without any monetary benefits as such. But we all along knew. I have been working with NIC for almost 35 years. So we knew all along that once you set the ball rolling and you shift totally to a new way of working, it only improves not only the working, not only the output, but also saves time, saves effort. And all those benefits come with it. So capacity development was one challenge, and change management, the alteration of the mindset, the resistance to change. Because some wise person has said that change is always painful, even from better to worse. So this was there used to be a lot of resistance, and some of the department displayed a higher degree of resistance as compared to many other departments. Maybe we know that just by way of example, the revenue department is one of the where number of false starts in as far as the computerization and digitization of village maps and record of rights and all those jamabandis and whatever the registers carried by Patwari are concerned. But by and by, with the passage of time in recent years, they have made some headway in the last 4 or 5 years, and things are better now. And we are moving in the right direction. So data security and privacy, again, it continues to be a big challenge. It's directly one of the components of the cyber security. So again, there were no mechanisms. The state did not have any data security policy or did not have any cyber crisis management plan. So, these days, cyber threat is looming everywhere. I read somewhere that during the last G20 summit, when it was held in India, in New Delhi, an unbelievable figure of 26,000 cyber attacks within 1 per second were happening. DDoS attacks, denial of service, distributed denial of service attack, 26,000 per second, or nearly 16 lakh per minute attacks were happening, because there was a concerted effort between various agencies who were involved in this. Interoperability of the databases was another issue which was not really coming about. Now, for example, just take half a minute to illustrate this. For example, when somebody wishes to sell a plot of land, to suppose him selling to you. So I first of all go for obtaining something called Fard Intikhab to the revenue authorities, and they issue from looking at the registers. Then I appear before the registrar with all those steps. With the buyer and witnesses, we submit the photographs and biometrics and whatever. And then at the end of the registration process, we get the deed, and then one has to get the mutation done. Right? So there is a feedback loop involved between the revenue process and the registration process. Now, with the integration of that, it is possible. One doesn't have to, ideally one should not be have to run after the Patwari to get their mutation done, because even though registration document mentions that once the registration is done in the name of the buyer, they are free to do whatever they like with the plot of land, but actually it does not happen. They don't become the actual owners until the mutation is done in the Patwari's registry. So that's something we should all remember. So that feedback loop should be automatic. And then integration with various, for example, payment gateways, with SMS gateways, email gateway, payment integration with DigiLockers, so that your certificate or license should automatically come to your DigiLocker account, and integration with various other things. And then improving the user experience. Many of the website and portals, still when you see, there are more than 400 websites and portals of the J&K government, various departments, agencies, corporations, boards. Most of them you will still find that they don't present a very beautiful picture as far as user experience and interface is concerned. So effort is on to improve that, improve the design of those websites and portals. Some link is not working, or maybe it's a bit, the navigation is not proper. So, and last but not the least, a very important thing, that monitoring and evaluation at the top level was missing. Now, things did improve after as I said, COVID and 370, but mostly due to the improvement of power supply. SWAN, when I talk of statewide area network, many of you must have heard of it. J&K had the dubious distinction of among all the states and UTs in India, where we were the last ones to take off. Now, SWAN implies, NIC's NICNET extends only up to the district level. Dr. Ake will bear me out. But beyond that, when we talk about block level or tehsil level, or even beyond that, NICNET does not exist there. So SWAN is statewide area network. In the first phase, it was envisaged that district points of presence and block level points of presence will be there. And in between, the number of blocks and tehsils increased, about a decade ago. So those will also be covered in the newly added blocks and tehsils will be covered in the phase 2 of that. So currently phase 1 is underway. So this is going to enable, the accessibility of the databases and portals to the village populace, especially in a major way, because otherwise they were not having, in 2004, community information centers were established, and after 5 years, they were just disbanded. So SWAN plus common service centers. Now, in its new avatar, because now it's directly managed by the CSC SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle. So we have more than 11,400 common service centers spread across the J&K state, UT rather. And they are providing, because the number of services also is available, 1100 services as we say. So they have some content to provide. In its first avatar as Khidmat centers of the J&K Bank, these were mostly working. And the J&K Bank authorities themselves admitted that these are working, mostly functioning as extension counters of the J&K Bank by providing loan forms or whatever. But now the things have changed. Then, of course, e-payments. During COVID, e-payments, because everything, e-payment figure has shown a tremendous growth in last 4 years. Webinars like this for spreading awareness, we are sitting here, we have about maybe 50 or 100 or 200 people joining through these platforms like WebEx or Zoom or whatever. So this too has really been a game changer. And then one of the major things which I should mention is Aadhaar Jan Dhan account and mobile phone triad, which has enabled the DBT. So direct beneficiary transfer, when it came about, whether it be the deposit of LPG subsidy directly in the bank account of a beneficiary, or it be a scholarship or old age pension or whatever, that has increased the faith of the common citizen in the government. So it has brought the government and the public and the industry closer. So it has brought about transparency, efficiency, and responsiveness. So now we talk about, before I talk about the recent initiatives, let me delve a little bit into the history of how we have reached here. Very briefly, there was in 2004 and 5 when the Congress government, the UPA 1 came into power. So National E-Governance Plan was launched by the Manmohan Singh Sarkar. Okay, and it had among its pillars SWAN was one of the pillars, the creation of the state data centers, because these are the things without which you cannot really disseminate services. State data center has to create facilities for storage, for hosting applications, databases, and portals, and then SWAN for connecting the remote areas right from the state capital to the block level and tehsil level and so on. And then e-district was one of the projects which was envisaged. It directly pertained to spread the development, rollout, and dissemination of the online services, mostly with the emphasis being on government to citizen. And NIC was playing a major role in all these, except for the SWAN and SDC, for which funds were coming directly to the state or UTIT departments. E-district with different names was implemented by NIC and other agencies, e-Suvidha, whatever. And then in July 2015, so I cut back to 2015 in NDA 1, in the current, the first term of Prime Minister Modi. So July 2015 was the day when Digital India Mission was launched. And it has 9 pillars. And the 3 areas which it deals with is the digital infrastructure, of course, which of course covers statewide area network, the state data center, the common service centers. Without these infrastructure, you cannot really, makan hoga tabhi baithenge, khana hoga tabhi khayenge. Second is, of course, development and dissemination of online services, with all those associated integrations like payment gateway, SMS tracking, SMS-based tracking, and whatnot. And third was the digital empowerment of the citizen, not just by training and skill development and capacity building, but also, as I mentioned, for example, Jan Dhan account, mobile bank, and Aadhaar triad. So Digital India Mission is proceeding at a very good pace, and NIC is one of the agencies which is playing its role to the best of its capabilities. Things are not rosy all around. There are areas where much improvement can be carried, can be achieved. But everybody is doing it. I mean, the thing that has happened now is that everybody takes it very seriously. It's no longer a fad. Earlier on, when I joined NIC, Aqib Saab, of course, you came much later in better times. But earlier on, I was really hard-pressed to explain the meaning of what my job entailed. People, उनको समझ ही नहीं आता था ये करता क्या है बंदा. Somebody used to interpret it as I belong to some kind of secret service agency or something. Somebody used to interpret it in a different way. I mean, it was very difficult to really grasp what an NIC officer, a typical officer, was doing and how it was benefiting a common man. So now we come to the present one, the theme, the real theme. I took these 15 minutes just to set the tone. So first of all, because citizen is the prime concern, and of course we too are citizen at a level. We may be academicians or bureaucrats or police officers or whatever, teachers, administrators, but at the end of the day, we are common citizens also. So we are also availing those services in one way or another. So when we talk of e-services, now online services existed earlier also, but in a very small way and in disparate manners. People were working in silos. NIC had its own set of services in different ways. Then at other agencies like Jammu and Kashmir E-Governance Agency had developed some, and some of the departments had hired private agencies. They had outsourced to different private players and who had developed certain services. The number was small. The end-to-end computerization was not there. Not that among these 11-20 services also, not all of them are having end-to-end digitization still, but many of them have. So it was envisaged sometime in February 2022, nearly 2 years ago, when Dr. Arun Mehta, as Chief Secretary, wrote a DO to my DG, earlier ex-DG, Dr. Neeta Verma. And he expressed the view that since NIC has been playing a major role in this digital mission, and he said that we also intend to launch a mission called Digital J&K Mission. which was formally announced in July that year. So 1.5 years ago from now. And he said that we want to have a unified integrated services delivery portal where all the online services would be listed. So one should have as one-stop shop, whether it be by redirection or the services are available there itself. But one should not have to remember the URLs or the website addresses of so many hundreds of websites and portals. One should be able to find, just like a shopping mall. So eUnnat is how it was conceived then. In the next 4 or 5 months, NIC developed and rolled out eunnat.jk.gov.in, where as of today, when I speak to you, 1,120 online services are listed, most of which are G2C, but some of them are G2E, G2B, and G2G also. For the uninitiated, let me explain. G2G means government to government, G2E means government to employee, and G2B means government to business. But most of them, the preponderance of the services is of the G2C variety under various departments and sectors. In 2011, Omar Abdullah government had enacted a bill called Public Service Guarantee Act. Now, this pertained to this set very severe timelines. Not severe, those were realistic also, because earlier on one used to really, for getting a simple piece of paper and नकल, यानी मेरी ही जमीन है और मुझे ही अपनी जमीन की नकल हासिल करने के लिए 3 महीना अगर मुझे जाना पड़े, 10 rounds, it was pathetic. So in this bill, every service has an associated timeline for delivery with penal provisions also. The delivery points are defined, and there is a mention of first appellate authority and second appellate authority and all that. When the online services reached a critical level, as I'm talking, so one day the government decided, the present government, we are under the Lieutenant Governor's rule. So it was decided last year that not last year, but in September 2022, the Public Service Guarantee Act was amended to bring the online services also under its ambit. So e-services पे भी अब वही प्रावधान applicable है, वही provisions applicable है जो PSG. Now it becomes much more easier to detect when a service is not delivered. Suppose an individual, Mr. X, applies for income certificate online. They apply for the income certificate, and if within whatever the level be, 15 days or 20 days, whatever is specified in the act, if it is not delivered, the service gets, the application gets auto-escalated to the first appellate authority, and the system maintains a log of that. So this is something which was not there earlier. It's a very major thing. And if the first appellate authority does not take any action within the time stipulated, it gets escalated to the second appellate authority, and then there are penal provisions. So far, the government has shunned imposing any real penalty. They said we will give a kind of grace period, so that in the beginning it should act as a deterrent only. But later on, we will actually impose monetary penalties. And they keep on looking at those top 10 defaulters, and they keep on asking me, for example, in a few days, 3-4 days ago, the Chief Secretary's office demanded for the top 10 defaulters, things like that, So Big Brother is watching all the time. And the message has gone across to all those deputy commissioners and tehsildars and the others down the line, that this is not a joke, and you need to be responsive to the citizen needs. Another thing to increase the citizen responsiveness is the integration of many of these services. Now, as of today, 485 of these services are integrated with the rapid assessment system of the NEGD. NEGD, National E-Governance Division, also is under the same ministry under which I am working, Ministry of Electronics and IT. So rapid assessment system provides a mechanism when somebody avails a service. I think many of you must be knowing, if you fill up you make a payment of the electricity bill every month. If you are in the habit of making an online payment, then a few minutes later an SMS comes to you asking for your feedback. So that's what I'm talking about. So a pre-prepared questionnaire kind of things come, 2, 3, 4 questions, which the NEGD prepares depending on the nature of the service. So that helps. Whether or not you respond to it is another matter. Normally, the human psychology is that people generally respond when they are unhappy. A happy person hardly ever responds. So the total response is nearly 3% only. Of all the SMSs which come, only 3% respond. But of those who responded, it was found that excellent and very good. I mean, the level of their happiness with the online services was around 86%. The Jakega calculated it. Other than this, assessment of quality service app has recently been developed by Jammu and Kashmir Governance Agency. And in that, the feedback from the citizen will be much more elaborate. I mean, they will be asked to rate the service on a number of parameters, and then there would be a composite rating on the level of 5. And it will also help the software development parties or the administrators to bring about an improvement in the service. Then Mobile Dost app is another one in which, just like eUnnat is the web interface for listing all the services, Mobile Dost has been, during the National Council of E-Governance, J&K government entered into an MOU with the Haryana government. So they have helped the J&K government to develop this Mobile Dost app. And on this, all these 1100 odd services are getting listed. I don't know as of today whether all of those have come, but most of those are available on this app, Mobile Dost. Then Digi Sahayak chatbot is again something which has been developed in-house. Earlier, NIC had provided them the Nikki chatbot. Okay, so which was integrated into eUnnat and again for teleconsultation of for the medical for health and medical education department. But now they have developed their own bilingual chatbot, which is also a voice bot as well as chatbot. Then another radical step, which is still in infancy, but let me share with you, is the concept of Digi Dost with Common Service Center. Because, Common Service Center, as I said, 11,400 Common Service Centers are existing and operational now. Not all of them at the same level of efficiency, but still. And more will be coming up. Now, the Department of Rural Development has directed the CSC, Mr. Shahnawaz, that he should explore the possibility of establishing more CSC kiosks at places in government offices, for example, civil secretariat and deputy commissioner's offices, and maybe municipalities and all those things, maybe BDO's offices as well, where people generate, where the footfall is significant, and people can come there and avail the services from there itself, rather than having to walk or 2 kilometers to find the nearest CSCs. And efforts are also on to find the shadow areas where the CSCs don't exist, because sometimes the distribution of the CSC locations is not even, it is found. So they are going to map it and establish more of those. So Digi Dost is a concept in which the person from the CSC will be coming to your home. If you are not IT savvy, or you find due to any reason find it difficult to visit the CSC for availing any online service, so he will be visiting you just like a doctor's visit, jaise wo ghar aata hai doctor. And then they will be charging 75 rupees over and above the stipulated rates for the notified rates for a particular service. Suppose a particular service has a notified rate of, say, 100 rupees. So they will be charging 175. For coming to your home, they will be scanning your documents, uploading those. So they will kind of, just like those agents, हम में से हर एक ने कभी ना कभी वो बेईमानी की है, train ticket or whatever, for transport department, driving license or something. So just like that, but it would be legal. I mean, they will be charging 75 rupees above that official charge. So all this, as I said, the Big Brother is watching, so they are utilizing various dashboards, and Tejas is one of the platforms of the developed by NIC, which is helping them, developing various dashboards in a very flexible manner. It is applicable, it works with any platform. So it is platform independent. Now we come to some other things which have been there, but in the last 3 years or so, which have received not only impetus, but these have reached a very mature level, and the robustness is for there visible for everybody to see. The first area I will be talking about is e-office. E-office has been around for a decade now, maybe maybe more. And Jammu and Kashmir also has implemented it many years ago. In fact, Deputy Commissioner's office in Jammu was the first one to implement it, having its own instance. But now it stands converged into the overall, the bigger J&K instance. Then Department of Revenue implemented it. Now we have a single instance of the J&K government, and the figures are very impressive, I must say. As many as 480 plus offices are now on board the J&K instance, and the number of users is 23,000 and growing. And the file disposal rate, I mean, at any instant of time is 97%. The total average turnaround time is 2.2 days. And again, this is viewed, the dashboard is there. So this is viewed, किस level पे कौन सी file कितने देर से फंसी हुई है, and you know, what is the average number of creation of files per week, and so on. Various statistics are up by the MIS. Second area I would like to touch upon is finance. Now, finance computerization in J&K is one of the best in the country, I must say, and the level of transparency it has brought about is exemplary. Treasury Net, this was computerized many years ago. And since then, so many Secretary Finance have come. But during recent years, because you know, Dr. Arora Mehta earlier was Additional Chief Secretary Finance before he became the CS. So during his tenure also a lot of things happened. Of course, the basic idea of creating a centralized PIS, CPIS for all the government employees of J&K, the idea was floated by Shri B.B. Vyas, the ex-chief secretary, earlier when he was handling finance. That was about 13 years ago. 13 years ago, or maybe 14. So now CPIS has the database of all the government employees of J&K, be they in any sector. Whosoever is drawing their salary from the government treasuries is listed there. The correctness and the completeness of the data is taken care of by around 6,450 DDOs. So that is one thing. So Treasury Net, Treasuries computerization, we have around 130 odd treasuries which are computerized, connected. One thing which happened in the last 4 years was BEAMS, Budget Estimation, Allocation and Monitoring System. This has brought about efficiency like anything. Earlier on, you know, being government, many of you must be associated working in the government itself. The last quarter rush, you are aware of that. 9 महीने में कुछ नहीं होता था, last के 3 महीने में खर्चा करना है बिला अंधाधुंध. That has been reduced considerably. The estimation and allocation is more evenly spread now. So government function that has improved. Then whatever budget is allocated for a particular project or scheme, it is monitored with the help of Jan Bhagidari is something. Now, Jan Bhagidari, why it is called so? It means the participation of the public. Now, when a scheme of approved, a DPR is approved, a technical sanction is brought about. In 2021 July, roughly 2.5 years ago, the government issued a circular that all the projects will have to have a technical sanction before money is allocated, funds are allocated for the execution. So now, for any project which is above 2 crore rupees, the GAD issues constitutes a technical advisory committee, and for below 2 crore, it is the concerned secretary. In case of IT project, it will be the Commissioner Secretary IT. So this is something which has integrated the various stages of a government project or scheme. You know, you have the DPR, you have the technical sanction first of all, then you allocate the budget using BEAMS, and then it is tendered out. So we have to use online tendering. You cannot just publish wo purane din gaye. So you have to use JK tenders or GEM. Generally, it is seen, if we look at the trends, that GEM is being used for goods and JK tenders is being used for works and contracts. So works departments like Jal Shakti or Power Development Department, corporations or PWD, they generally prefer because they have work, contract, project related work. So they use JK tenders, which again, I'm proud to say that it's a solution by NIC, JEPNIC, Government Procurement System of NIC. And the figures again are staggering. In the last 13 years since its rollout in December 2010, So far, 6.85 lakh tenders have been floated and finalized for an unbelievable amount of 2.26 trillion rupees. So it is 225 crore rupees, which is staggering, I must say. Then more thing, just to move quickly, GST Pram analytics, this was something which was lacking in, and NIC Karnataka helped us in rolling it out. And excise department, because we don't believe in building from scratch something which is already available. And I see West Bengal again roped in, and they helped us in rolling out something which is known as e-Abkari for the J&K excise department. And the revenue of J&K excise department has skyrocketed after that. So again, motor spirit tax and SRO, I will just cut it short. Then I will take a couple of minutes for revenue department. So this has been just like Turkey used to be called the sick man of Europe, the revenue department was the sick department of J&K. But now things are no longer the same, especially under I must commend really the Financial Commissioner Revenue, Shri Shaleen Kabra. He's a really dynamic officer, a very no-nonsense kind of man. So, Aapki Zameen, Aapki Nigrani, which was developed by, Jakiga, but they outsourced the job of survey and settlement to a private company, and they work in collaboration and cooperation. Now it's no longer a time of conflict and competition and jealousy. All the agencies which are here, and now that is something which was not there earlier. All the agencies are collaborating and cooperating with each other. So they provide the data, whether it be cadastral map or that alphanumeric data in the form of record of right or whatever. And it is there in the public domain. Now it is hosted in the state data center. The domicile certificate and computerization, all of us, many of us have already applied online and taken that digitally signed thing. Now, nearly 14 lakh domicile certificates have been issued online or offline. Many of them online also. NGDRS is a success story. NGDRS was a software application developed by NIC Software Development Unit, Pune. So registration, historically, when we grew up, we saw that it used to be the sub-judges and sub-registrars in the judiciary who used to carry out and it was the only case in the entire Indian subcontinent where judges were doing the registration of documents, including property. So in 2019, a separate registration department was created under the revenue department, and the post of IGR, which used to be ex officio held by the Chief Justice of J&K High Court. Now we have a separate IGR, Shahid Ayub Saab hai is waqt. Or NGDRS also has been implemented in nearly 100 SRO, sub-registrar offices across the state, and it is working very well. Then for taking care of the revenue court cases monitoring system, again, this software we took from NIC Telangana again, and we implemented for the revenue department in J&K. So that has, these 4 or 5 initiatives have improved the working of the revenue department in a very significant way. Agriculture, recent development, last 1 saal ka hai ye. Government of India approved a very ambitious project costing 5,100 crore, and it was called Holistic Agriculture Development Program. It entails 29 major projects under which around 118 schemes are there. These extend anything, because agriculture production department, it's a conglomerate of various departments which used to exist separately earlier on. Sheep husbandry, animal husbandry, dairy development, pisciculture, apiculture, and horticulture, all are merged into one. And the current chief secretary was additional chief secretary agriculture production 1 year ago. Before he went to Delhi for that 5-month stint. So he asked me to execute this, and NIC developed a Kisan Sathi portal under Holistic Agriculture Development Program, under which a farmer or an agricultural entrepreneur is able to apply for central assistance. Some of the schemes entail these are centrally sponsored. CSS component hai jisme, and many others have a loan facility from the local banks, primarily J&K Bank. Side by side, Jakiga, with the help of some private agencies, developed a complete, very comprehensive online training portal called Daksh Kisan. And now NIC has also been asked to work on something called Kisan Khidmat Ghar. Kisan Khidmat Ghar will be, it will have a web portal with an accompanying, mobile app in which a farmer or an agricultural entrepreneur will be able to log in and place an order for seeds, agricultural implements, fertilizer, pesticide, fodder, and things like that. Either through mobile app if they are tech savvy, or they will be able to come to the Kisan Khidmat Ghar physically and buy all those things by paying whatever the government notified rates are. And these will be interconnected. I mean, they will be IT enabled. Kisan Khidmat Ghars, initially 2000 such Khidmat Ghars, IT enabled Kisan Khidmat Ghars will be established, and NIC has been asked to prepare the software solution for this. Apart from this, another major thing in which NIC was only marginally involved, but which deserves mention, is the single window system integration of various schemes under the Business Reform Action Plan, so as to enable the ease of doing business. And in this, the primary role was performed by the Industries and Commerce Department. But NIC, since many of the projects, most of the applications and projects in IT sector have been developed by NIC, so NIC worked closely with the Industries and Commerce Department. They also have their own data center managed by CCOP. So we worked with them. Transport sector, of course, you all must be knowing M-Parivahan, so I will not be talking much about that. Some good work has been done in education sector also, in urban development. And then one of the challenges before us is now, let's talk about challenges also. One of the challenges is, not one of the challenges, but I would call it the challenge, is cybersecurity. During the year that has just ended, 2023, apart from the G20 attack, which I just mentioned, there was a major incident which was there, which hogged the news headlights for a long time, was the attack on the All India Institute of Medical Science servers. And the entry was made through one of the machines which had Windows 7 installed on it. So old OS. And then another, towards the end of the year, there was another very high profile incident, ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, in which the data of 81.5 crore, citizens was compromised. So with this, I must say, I end this because it's not possible to touch upon all the things. I have tried to touch upon the major things in my talk, and I'm now open to questions. And thank you for patient listening. And just 1 minute more, that in cybersecurity now we are trying to formulate a cybersecurity management plan, because it concerns all of us. So we will be carrying out, of course, IT department will be spearheading it. IT secretary will be spearheading it. We'll be carrying out the, awareness programs and sensitization programs, workshops, seminars, and all those things. And also formulate a policy, not only for the government and the industry, but also for educational institutions, because the teaching faculty and the students are using IT in a big way in various things, right from applying for scholarship or exams, conduct of exams, the result processing, and so many activities are IT enabled now. So cybersecurity, and then e-commerce also has caught up majorly. So now it has come to literally to our houses, cyber threats. Because whenever I place an order for a shirt or a pair of shoes online, I have to be aware of that. It concerns everybody. We all of us, many of us keep on receiving those SMSs, and attempts at phishing are made to trap us. We keep on reading in the newspapers or watching on the television various fraudsters who have really duped people or caused harm in other ways. So that's a different topic in itself. 2024, during this year, which has just begun, our focus will be on cybersecurity and how to tackle threats in its various forms. So let's wish the best for all of us in that endeavor, and we will be in it together. So thank you for patient listening, and now I am open to questions. If you have any queries, I would be very happy to respond to those. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful lecture. I would say you navigated us right from the evolution of technology in J&K and through the digital divide and through the setting up of these facilitation centers and how NIC has progressed over all these years and what really has been a remarkable contribution of NIC. Thank you very much, sir. Uh, the session is now open for a discussion. If any participant has an observation or a question that he would like to ask our learned speaker, kindly unmute yourself and go ahead. Yes,
Uh, my
yes, Mohammed.
question to the speaker would be how much the consumer data is protected by NIC, because NIC must be having a lot of data from the consumers. So what they are doing to get this data protected so that it does not go to third party.
Yes, let me respond to that. See, the data, the application, and the portals and websites are hosted at various data centers across the country. You must have heard the name of Meghraj. Meghraj is just a brand name for the national cloud. So the national cloud of India, the biggest data center is in Delhi, Shastri Park. And then we have regional data centers at Hyderabad, Odisha, Bhubaneswar precisely, Hyderabad, Pune, and a couple of more are coming up in Bhopal and Chandigarh. So NIC has deployed state-of-art technologies and tools to protect the data of the citizens, consumers, and all the stakeholders for that matter. All the state-of-the-art tools, techniques, and policies are in place. And so far, Touchwood, except for the two incidents, the one incident which I mentioned in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the leakage was not from the data center, but one of the client machines. And that really woke us up to the fact that endpoint security is as important as securing the servers in a data center. So that particular machine which was attacked, through which the hacker gained an entry, was having Windows 7, for which patches are no longer available from the Microsoft. In fact, let me inform you through this forum that from December 2025, which is nearly 2 years away from now, Windows 10 will no longer be under maintenance. So better to switch over to Windows 11 or higher now itself, or at least before December next year. So NIC is taking all care to preserve and protect the data as well as privacy. One of the things, taking it further, there is an Aadhaar Act 2016, and then there is a judgment dated 24th August 2017, variously known as in different by names, but it is popularly known as the privacy judgment, in which various issues were clubbed together, and a 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court delivered a judgment in which Aadhaar, it is very clear now that Aadhaar is not to be stored in an unencrypted form. So now NIC also has devised a policy, and it is advising various state and UT governments also for their own data centers. I mean, because in our state also, in Jammu and Kashmir, as many as 249 websites are hosted at the state data center, which is managed by the ITD and Jakika, and 166 are hosted by NIC. So you can say 60% of these are hosted by the state UT government itself. So we have been issuing advisories to them that Aadhaar should always, Aadhaar for that matter, even private, personal data like mobile numbers also. But Aadhaar, especially for that, something known as Aadhaar data vault is to be created. There is a policy for that, and there are procedures. Very recently, we have shared with them last month only in December, and they will be creating that Aadhaar data vault. So Aadhaar has to be stored in a encrypted form, and it doesn't mean that all the other data are not to be kept secure. All of those are to be kept secure, and very soon, as I said, that we will be coming up with a comprehensive cybersecurity management plan. So we are already working on that, and it will cover everything, right? From my mobile phone to my desktop or laptop or tab, to the network, to the firewall, to the routers and switches which are there in the network, and go up to the data center servers. So everything will be covered and all
Everything is secure.
levels of usage. It has to
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We have been joined by the staff secretary of our college, Professor Tariq Ahmed Chalku, sir. He would like to address something to our participants and give his observations. Chalku, sir.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
First of all, a lot of gratitude for the speaker for making to our present sequence of talks which has been going on. And second is that definitely we are living in the technological era where the core competencies of digital literacy become very serious for all the kinds of activities which are happening online as well as offline. Being an educational institution, we understand that our role becomes a dual role. We don't only have to align ourselves with the developments on the side of NIC, which is facilitating so much of digital services, digitization, and digital processes. We also happen to be an educational institution with a program called Masters in Computer Application and Bachelors in Computer Application, where we can reach out to the last mile in the society by integrating the students from far off places who tomorrow become the transformers and they become the agents of change. I'm very sure that the program which was conducted through IQAC Cell today has been very comprehensive. I congratulate Mr. Salim for giving us such an enlightened talk, even though I was aware that J&K is one of the states which has taken a lead in extending more than 400 services online, and NIC is playing a pivotal role. But today's session was throwing more light, and it became probably a very strong belief in me that we are going on a very good change, and the people like Mr. Salim, who are handling all these things, they are going to put us into a very good position within the time. My request to all the audience is that we have to not only integrate it with our own selves, we have to extend all the awareness, particularly in our classrooms and in our laboratories, that our students, they become digitally strong, and all kinds of things which integrate with digital literacy, like cyber security, password management, then the critical thinking, problem solving. These things are there to stay, and the pivotal role has to come from every one of us. I thank Dr. Mutahir and his team and the principal of the college that this talk was facilitated, and definitely the new session which will be seeing the skill development as one of the major milestones of this college. We will try that we integrate these practices and these programs to extend the skills on this side to the students of the college. And also the people who come from outside the college, they will also be integrated into the programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Is-
Just one correction that it's not really 480, but now we are at 1100.
1100.
And
So
let
great,
me-
sir. So great.
Let me
That's
share
good.
with you, sir. नहीं शायद आपने वो 485 are integrated with RAS feedback system, and let me also inform you that in 2021, every 2 years, the Department of Administrative Reforms, Pension and Grievances conducts a survey of National E-Services Delivery Assessment.
Right.
And very critical parameters on which the delivery of e-services is evaluated. Very strict parameters, around more than 100 parameters. We stood first among the UTs at that time, and now I am very happy to tell you that this year we are slated to emerge number 1 in the entire country. We have a 97% compliance with their parameters.
All
And we are
applause
going-
for that. So great
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah,
I
ahead
have
of
been
all
going through the
30%.
economic survey report of 2019, where I found that this is among the UTs, it is ahead of all others.
Now we are ahead of all the states and UTs in
Now
this.
states also. That's so great, sir. So great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Is there any other participant who would like to say something? Humayun sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I would like you to read. I mean, there is one. It's a comment by Faisal Makbul. Assalamu alaikum, Salim sir. You talked about lack of participation from local IT firms in e-governance project tenders. One of the reasons for this is the lack of exposure of students of JNK to information technology. Now, my request to NIC JNK would be to collaborate with colleges and take students for internship in development of various e-governance projects.
As interns.
It was a comment by
Kindly
this.
unmute yourself, sir. Salim sir, kindly unmute yourself.
It
Yes.
has 3-4 major aspects, you know. The point I had raised that the ICT entrepreneurs of J&K are not really at the same level for various reasons. And I will tell you what the reasons are. Skill development is only one of those, you know, one of those to start with. Another one was there has never been traditionally a culture of venture capital funding for this. And this was one of the areas in which this was perceived to be full of risks. क्या है? As I said कि मुझे अपने job को explain करने में मुश्किल होती थी. Similarly, the funding agencies, banks and financial institutions were not really willing to pump their money into this. Now this thing is changing. As of today, more than 73,000 startups are operating across India. And now I was very happy to see during the National Conference on E-Governance, we had invited 10 startups to Katra, and there was a whole session devoted to the startups, and they shared their experience with the participants there. So things are changing. Whatever way NIC is able to help, we will be doing it in collaboration with the IT department and JAKIGA. We will be very happy to do that. Being a son of the soil, it's very close to my heart. So we will be doing not only internship in NIC or otherwise. In fact, JAKIGA also took some interns last year, and this was the first time ever since JAKIGA was created. So as a result of my persistence follow-up with the Commissioner Secretary IT, the current Commissioner Secretary IT is very responsive to all this. They created the software development unit also, in which around 35 very talented young boys and girls were recruited from various skilled areas. They began and concluded an internship program also. And I see for the last few years has not been taking interns, but last year in 2022-23, we did take about 8 or 10 interns, right? So most of them were pursuing BTech, and some of them were pursuing MCA also. So we will continue that tradition, of course. And
Thank you.
moreover, we will also be pursuing an impressing among the government higher authorities to take on board the financial institutions and banks for venture capital funding of, in this area, in this business, ICT, whether it be hardware or consultancy or software solutions development, anything. There are so many brilliant young people here in J&K, and they can really make a difference.
Thank you, sir. Principal sir, are you there? Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir.
Yes, sure, please.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you would like to say something?
Well, so far it was so nice. The only problem with me is when we talk about digital infrastructure, the only issue in JK is the power supply. We are going to basically address that problem.
It continues.
This is the only issue that I am facing. Yeah, we are facing.
Sir, in the beginning itself, I made a disclaimer. So I said, okay, it will be controversial when I say that power situation has improved. It has certainly improved somewhat in a relative sense, but it's far from ideal, Even last evening, I had this interaction with you slated to begin at 11:30. And last year, I'm sitting in Jammu and we had a long power cut. And I told my people to, switch off all the lights and everything so that at least I should be able to have this session. पता नहीं है वो inverter भी नहीं बैठ जाए कहीं घर का. तो that thing is there. Yes, must admit. Let's hope that things will. Power, it runs everything.
Because that
Thank you.
time we have to again go to offline mode when there is this kind of जिसको हम कहते हैं ना अपनी लैंग्वेज में गले में हड्डी फंस जाना.
No, it's a thorn in the flesh. Yes, it is a thorn in the flesh. And if Srinagar and Jammu are facing this, then I can just imagine what the position in the hinterland. This is something which needs to be addressed, and addressed very promptly and on very high priority, I must say.
One more problem is whenever we write to higher ups for the purchase of certain kind of digital infrastructure, they may give us those machines. But when we talk to them, what should be the power backup for that? That time they are reluctant to give additional amount for that. Maybe there is ignorance from the top brass, or there is some other reason. Please address that problem at the top level.
Let me share with you one thing that, as I mentioned during my talk, I mentioned an SO dated, I think 21st July, 9th July 2021. It was issued when Dr. Arun Kumar Mehta was Additional Chief Secretary Finance, and in which technical sanction of a project is necessary. Now, in the last 2 years or so, I myself have headed at least 24 technically advisory committees as chairperson. So, in that we look at every aspects. Whenever some DPR comes to us for technical sanction, for scrutiny and vetting, I make sure that we don't leave this thing untouched. As you said, this is very relevant thing, that power backup, in areas like J&K, it's a must. So we look at it, and I can say with certainty that in all those DPRs or RFPs which have gone through me and my committee, we have taken care to, if it has been missed out by the DPR creation committee, we have got it included. And these DPRs and RFPs, let me share with you again, extended right from the High Court to Police Department to Transport Department, Revenue, and so on. So इनसे कहीं ना कहीं छूट जाता है. Sometimes they take a very idealistic vision, but while creating such proposals, one should be very, one's mind and heart should be close to the ground realities, I must say. तो वो कहीं पे रह जाता है जिसको हम एटलीस्ट, मेरे को कभी कभी ऐसा भी हुआ कि when I could not chair, तो one of my senior officers chaired the committee. So these are very basic things which cannot be missed out.
Sir, I believe it puts us a lot of we people be in demotivation mode. Whenever you are having a backup very small and during winter and having very frigid temperature, your power energy gets immediately dissipated, and you have to use then another kind of energy that's called a generator first. You have to basically create energy storage in backup. Well, it means it becomes multiple times the energy eater. So for that matter, I request you, whenever you are talking at the top level, please tell them that there must be heavy backup for any kind of machine that is running in institute or any kind of department. Then and only then our problems will be solved, especially in the wind department.
We do, as a matter of fact, because I think NIC, when I'm talking about 1988, when NIC was the only IT in the state. And at that time, IT department or Jagnika or these things even did not exist at all. So, mic on
Microphone. Somebody is having side talks.
Somebody's microphone is accidentally on. So I'm talking of a situation 35 years ago. Right from that time, because in 1988-89, NIC established its district centers also in addition to the state unit at the state capital. So we were the first ones to have UPS as an essential part of the infrastructure which was provided to those district centers. वहाँ DC office में I have myself served as district informatics officer in places like Badgam and Poonch and Doda. उनको समझ में नहीं आता था UPS क्या चीज है. By looking at it, they were unable to comprehend what this machine is. So this is, of course, there can be no arguments against this line that power backup is a must. But again, for long power cuts, even UPS fails. So
That's what
DG
I was
said
telling you. That's the reason. Then we need one more investment. That's called a generator.
we need a
That's
DG
again a problem.
which again requires fuel and a person to operate that, and it has its own complication. But one should have all the options on board, because without power you will not be able to run your operations. And now you are switching over to online mode in almost all the areas of working functionality, whether it be government or educational institutions or business. So power is I should say, the most critical requirement, infra requirement for our work.
Thank you, sir. I think we have one question in the chat. It's like, is NIC outsourcing some of its work, or everything is done in-house?
No, NIC does not outsource. Yes, there is a company, Article 8 company called NICSI, a National Informatics Center Services Incorporated. NICSI. So it's a company under the Ministry of Electronics and IT, which kind of handles the turnkey projects. And they have the empaneled vendors. So अगर बहुत बड़ा काम होता है, which NIC, being a small organization by way of manpower, is not able to handle, some very big thing comes, then we advise the government department to award it to NIC as a NICSI paid project. In that case, NICSI provides a project proposal, and depending on the nature of the project, it may have one or more components like hardware, software, of course, would be there. Software application would be there. If there is an accompanying mobile app, then also that would be included. If hardware purchase is required, that would be included as well. And sometimes manpower for managing at various levels, like project manager, data entry operators, and software developers. So that is included in the NICSI proposal. NIC itself is a non-profit; it's a purely government department, so service department. So we don't do it for money. But NICSI is a commercial organization. They charge 9% handling charges over and above the project cost. So one can get it through that. So NICSI outsources it. NIC doesn't.
Thank you, sir. I think we should conclude the session now. I request our Dean Academic Affairs and Controller Examination, Dr. Abdurrauf Bhatt, to kindly give his concluding remarks and a vote of thanks. Roof, sir, unmute yourself.
Respected Mr. Mohammad Salim Khan, Scientist G, and State Information Officer, NIC Srinagar, J&K.
Informatics, sir. It's informatics. People
Informatics,
often confuse it
NIC
with
J&K,
information.
Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Revered Principal, members of the IQAC GDC Baramulla team, distinguished guests, faculty members, and participants, a very good afternoon to all. On behalf of IQAC GDC Baramulla, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Mohammad Salim Khan for gracing us with his insightful presentation on empowering J&K thought through digital innovations, a journey of transformation with ICT. Your expertise and knowledge have illuminated our understanding of the potential of digital innovation in our region. I would also like to express our appreciation to all the participants who took the time to join this significant event. Your engagement and contribution have enriched the dialogue. Special thanks to everyone who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the smooth execution of this event. Your dedication and hard work have been instrumental in making this event a success. Special thanks to our worthy principal, Dr. Mohammad Farooq Rathar Saab, for believing in us and letting us execute our ideas. Lastly, I encourage everyone to continue the conversation and collaboration sparked today as we strive to harness the power of digital innovation for the betterment of J&K. Thank you once again. and we would like forward to your continued support and participation in our future endeavors. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for organizing this.
Thank you, sir. Now I'll be
All the best to you.
thank you, sir. I'll be addressing the participants who have shared the attendance link in the chat window. Kindly fill your feedback and your attendance. I would also request all the participants to turn on their cameras so we can have a group photograph. I request all the participants to open their cameras so we can record your faces. Thank you very much, everyone. Kindly, yes. I can see my colleague Mr. Faisal Maqbool there. He could have asked the question himself, but he chose to write it in the chat window. Faisal sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Salim sir. It's so nice to see you after such a long time.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
Sir, I'm fine. Alhamdulillah. May Allah bless you, sir. Thank you for this informative talk. And thanks, GDC Baramulla, also
My
for
pleasure,
this
my
very nice session, sir. Sir, we are hoping that please you will take my comment in a positive way also. And we will see some contribution of NIC in our education sector because our students don't have the access to IT exposure as students of other states do. They have so many companies which they can go to, and we don't have such kind of an IT industry here. So the most that we can see there is NIC, and which has, as you have yourself outlined that how much it has grown in the past few years. So please, sir.
So far in education sector, I won't say we have played much of a role in skill development. The only thing where we have touched is internship of the BTech and MCA students. And the other one is that we did execute a project for the JK BOS, where students able to get registration done online. The schools are able to register online, then result download just on the CBSE pattern. So that we executed, and then they are asking for some more applications to be developed, for which we have given them a fresh proposal. But your point is altogether different, in which I promise that I will be taking it up with the government at appropriate levels for funding of such project, for giving a thrust to the ICT industry in the state. That is an area where we are still lagging. We need to improve so that it also creates employment opportunities to our brilliant qualified boys and girls here in the state itself. यहाँ हो जाएगा. Naturally, everybody wants that घर के नजदीक नौकरी हो, तो क्यों नहीं? In fact, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has, in one of his hadith, has कि वतन में रोजगार हो, तो that has been counted as one of the blessings. Why not? So rather than going to Bengaluru or Noida or something, घर के नजदीक हो और अच्छे वो काम करें. We have no dearth of talented and skillful, brilliant, bright young boys and girls here in Kashmir, or for J&K for that matter. So we should create opportunities, and it's a collective responsibility in which I personally feel that I also have some form of responsibility there. So I will be taking it up with the IT secretary, with the chief secretary, even if I find the opportunity. And wherever NIC itself can play a role, we will definitely, this is something which we will ponder upon and create an enabling environment.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So once again, on behalf of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, GDC Baramulla, I thank our worthy speaker, Mohammad Salim Khan, sir, for sparing his valuable time with us here today, sir. Once again, I am also thankful to all the participants for being with us here today in this webinar session. We'll be having more sessions in coming days. So thank you very much. I will be signing off now. Thank you, Salim, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
So much.
Thank you, sir.